can you lend me $60? My niece asked, arriving at our house soaked from the heavy snow. She revealed that she had been treated terribly by her parents. What? There's no way I'm lending you money. Enraged after hearing her story, Tom decided to go somewhere, taking my soaked niece and me with him in the car. My name is Nora. I'm a 43-year-old celebrating my 10th wedding anniversary with my husband, Tom. He's 5 years younger than me and works as a carpenter. Originally, I was an office worker at the company where Tom is employed, and ours was essentially an office romance. Everything moved quickly from there, and we got married. Tom, despite being younger, has always been someone I can rely on, popular at work, and respected by his juniors for his manliness. He was the boyfriend I was proud of, and I was the one who confessed my feelings to him, marking the beginning of our relationship. Tom is a sincere and straightforward man. When we started dating, he said, "If we're dating, marriage is definitely something I'm considering," giving me a mature and serious response. His earnest attitude at work and in his personal life made me fall for him, and I proposed to him a year later. We got married, excited for the happier life that was to start, but reality was not as sweet as I had imagined. "Hey Nora, isn't the turkey ready yet? Everyone's already gathered and you're messing up the timing." Right after we got married, my first ordeal was at Tom's family's Christmas gathering. Tom is the middle child of 3 brothers, each of whom has a wife. I got along well with John's wife, but somehow I just couldn't click with Sophia, the eldest brother's wife. The incident with the turkey was what set this feeling off. "I'm sorry. I'm tied up with getting things ready for the bonfire in the yard right now." Tom's family lives deep in the countryside, and every year relatives gather for events like this. I was looking forward to participating in this family event for the first time, but I was overwhelmed by how busy it was. John's wife was considerate and actively supported me, but Sophia was different. She seemed to be watching me just to catch me making a mistake, ready to scold me at any sign of a blunder. I had felt unwelcome from the moment I went to greet them for the wedding, so I had suspected she didn't like something about me, but being so openly oppressed was beyond my expectations. Since then, I've felt down every time there's a family gathering. Just the thought of seeing Sophia would make me sigh. And a week before the event, I'd even start feeling sick to my stomach. "You don't have to force yourself to come, you know? If you want, I can talk to my brothers about it," Tom would say, concerned for me. However, I didn't want to start rumors or smear Tom's reputation. Nor did I want to miss out on seeing my in-laws, whom I've grown fond of, treat me like their own daughter. I love them too, and didn't want to reduce our chances to meet. So I brushed off Tom's concern with a brave face and continued to attend the family gatherings. And now on Christmas Day, as usual, I'm participating in the gathering. As expected, Sophia keeps making snide remarks and bossing me around. I'm not someone who usually keeps quiet. At work, I'm used to speaking my mind to the craftsman on site. Even though she's a family member, I still get angry when she keeps saying things like that. But I can't disrupt the peace here. While keeping up a strained smile, I try to stay cheerful and respond to her, only to be met with a disapproving sigh from Sophia. "This is why I am a childless wife. If you had kids, you'd probably be better at organizing things, wouldn't you?" As she grumbled, Sophia reluctantly served the turkey to everyone. Unlike me, the other families already had at least 2 children each. I was over 34 when we got married, which honestly made it challenging to hope for children. Tom understood how I felt, so he never pressured me about having kids. I'd rather not have kids if it means losing Nora to the risks of childbirth. My parents are just happy that a rough guy like me got married at all. "I want you to know that I didn't marry you just for the sake of having children," Tom said with a smile, comforting me. "My parents also didn't pressure us for grandchildren. Everyone considered our feelings and health in a supportive way, allowing us to feel comfortable in our environment." I felt blessed until Sophia made such remarks. How old are Sophia's kids now? She has an 8-year-old and a baby that was just born last year. Being a woman having kids is what it's all about, right? My husband and my in-laws are over the moon and adore them. After the bonfire ended, the adults were getting into high spirits, enjoying the turkey, holding drinks in their hands. Standing right behind Sophia, I was serving drinks to another relative, but inside I was fuming at her words, which seemed aimed to provoke me. Don't mind her, Nora. She's always like that. I get nagged by her a lot too, so it's best to just ignore her. Thanks for your concern. Really, I wonder what my brother saw in such a spiteful woman. It's hard to believe those sweet kids are hers. After serving drinks, I quickly moved away from Sophia and her group, and Tom, along with John and his wife, welcomed me over. John's wife was pregnant with a new life, and in the back, the kids were playing together, giving us adults a brief moment of relief. However, having seen how Sophia treated me, John and his wife expressed their dismay, and Tom looked puzzled and annoyed. I'm gonna have a word with Sophia. This is too much. Even the uncles listening to her are just giving awkward laughs, not knowing how to react. It's okay, Tom. I'm not bothered by it. Besides, just having someone understand me makes me feel better. You're too kind, Nora. It's absurd that you have to put up with this. This is what being an adult is all about. But if it gets too much, please talk to us. Even Mom and Dad would support you if they knew. Knowing everyone was looking out for me made me feel like I could manage as part of this family. Without their support, I would have been out of here by now, considering divorce. While I was holding back tears from their kindness, a snicker came from behind. What's this? Looking all gloomy? Whose complaints are you airing out? Damn. There stood Sophia's husband, Dan, the eldest brother. Despite approaching John's wife, Dan, with a cigarette in his mouth, he nonchalantly sat down between Tom and me. John sent his wife towards the kids to protect her and glared at Dan with caution. Oh, your wife's pregnant, right? My bad. Completely slipped my mind. Dan said without a hint of genuine apology, carelessly blowing smoke in my direction, making me cough. Think whatever you want about my wife, but keep your complaints to yourselves where it can't be seen. Well, I guess if you can't have kids, a bit of jealousy and complaints can't be helped. Dan laughed crudely and returned to Sophia and the others, leaving his words to sting me deeply. How many more times will I have to endure being told I can't have kids in my life? How many more times will I have to bear this humiliation? Biting my lip in frustration, I pondered over the bitterness of not being able to have children. Maybe it's better if Nora doesn't come next year. Yeah, maybe. Aren't we going to be able to meet Nora again next year? John and Tom, having noticed my distress, discussed this out of concern for me. Sophia's children, my nieces, looked sadly in our direction, having overheard the conversation. They are such good kids, unlike their parents. They cherish me more like their real mom and adore Tom. It's heartbreaking to see them so well-behaved and caring for their newborn sister, unlike what one would expect from their parents' offspring. I treasure them as if they were my own. No, that's not happening. I'll make sure to come next year, so don't worry, okay? Nora reassured my adorable niece, unable to simply nod in agreement. Sophia, not breastfeeding and thus free to drink, was causing a commotion with Dan, leaving my niece feeling sad in a corner. My slight hurt is nothing compared to the joy of seeing these young ones looking forward to our meetings. With that thought, I gathered my strength and gave Tom a determined look to show I wasn't backing down. Meeting all of you is something I eagerly anticipate. I wouldn't easily give up such happiness. So don't worry. I'll keep coming next year and the year after until you all grow up and stop coming here. I promise. My niece seemed relieved after hearing my words, and her face lit up as she smiled happily. If being a source of hope for these little ones is what it means to be an aunt, then I am fully committed. Watching me, Tom and John and his wife couldn't help but smile resignedly, and Tom gently stroked my hair. If things ever get too tough, you can always tell me. You are the most important person to me. Thank you, I responded, my smile overflowing with the love I felt from them, blissfully unaware of the tragic events that were to unfold. As the party reached its peak, a greeting from the oldest relative, our father-in-law, signaled everyone to start cleaning up. While the other relatives' wives took the lead in the cleanup, Sophia, drunk as ever, was still happily drinking with the intoxicated uncles. I couldn't help but suppress the urge to criticize her parenting as I joined in the cleanup effort, considering she was the mother of a young child. John's pregnant wife was taking it easy inside with the kids. How can such a couple produce such well-behaved children? It's unbelievable, agreed a cousin as we carried the finished dishes to the kitchen, where the wives were venting about Sophia and Dan's behavior. I hadn't intended to eavesdrop, so I was about to leave, immediately after dropping off the dishes, when a piece of gossip caught me off guard. They say she would yell or even hit them if they didn't listen. There's talk that it might have even gone as far as calling the police. What? I exclaimed, surprised not only myself but also the others gossiping. The sudden outburst was quickly shushed by another relative, urging for quiet. The person who blurted out hurriedly covered her mouth and began to share more details. That couple had the police called on them before. A concerned neighbor thought they were being too harsh on the kids and reported them. Child services were alerted, but no physical marks were found. Apparently, hearing yelling is a regular occurrence among the neighbors. She revealed, the gravity of the situation made me cover my mouth in disbelief, my face draining of color. It's one thing to get frustrated with your kids, but resorting to violence or threats is absolutely unacceptable. Yet all this could just be speculation. I hadn't witnessed any of it myself, so there wasn't much I could do. The niece clearly loves her parents, never complaining about Sophia or Dan. She obediently follows instructions without any sign of rebellion. But what if this obedience is the result of coercion? The conversation left me with a troubled mind. What's wrong, Nora? You look pale. Are you feeling all right? Tom noticed my distress and came over, concerned especially after the recent incident. I considered telling Tom about what I'd heard, but with Sophia and Dan nearby, I couldn't risk it affecting the nieces. Deciding against it, I shook my head as if to dismiss my worries, claiming maybe I just got a bit dizzy from the alcohol. I'll step outside for some fresh air. With that, I put on my coat and left the cleanup to the others, stepping outside for a breath of fresh air. Outside, the snow was piling up, with a forecast of heavy snowfall into the night. The cloudy sky seemed ready to burst open any moment, darkening my mood further as I pondered the earlier conversation. Whether I could make a difference was uncertain. Despite everything, I simply couldn't overlook the situation if my nieces who adore me so much were truly facing the ordeal rumored about them. As I stood with a complex expression, weighed down by a sense of helplessness, my niece, along with her younger sister, approached me for some reason. What's wrong? It's cold outside. Why don't you come in and play with your sisters? Nora, will you really come next year too? Can we meet like this again? The incident earlier seemed to have left my niece looking notably anxious, and her sister by her side seemed on the verge of crying any moment. It's definitely not good to keep a baby outside under the cold sky. We need to bring them inside immediately. Yet I couldn't bear to leave my worried niece alone, so I bent down to reassure her, pulling her into my arms and embracing her gently as she hugged her sister. Of course, if you're that worried, take this. It's a note with my contact and address. Come visit anytime you want. With this, you shouldn't have anything to worry about, right? Yeah, the tangible assurance seemed to have brought some brightness back to my niece's anxious face. However, her sister started crying, perhaps due to hunger, and I decided to hurry back inside with my niece. After some time, as the party wound down and everyone started heading to their cars, Tom and I prepared to leave, leaving the eldest son's family behind. John's family had left earlier, and our kind in-laws assured us they would handle the rest. Thank you so much for coming today. Take care, okay? With those caring words from my gentle mother-in-law, Tom and I expressed our gratitude and left. Leaving the eldest son's family behind felt uneasy. But with the grandparents there, the nieces should be fine. That was what I thought, but I was naive. After we got home and the night deepened, our doorbell suddenly rang. Who could it be at this hour? I wondered, since we were still awake, having had a drink. It was past 11 p.m. As Tom and I exchanged worried glances and headed to the door, the indirect lighting revealed the silhouette of the visitor. The moment we saw the size of the shadow, both Tom and I were surprised and hurried to unlock the door. What happened to you guys? There stood my niece, soaked with snow, hugging her sister. My niece's hands were frostbitten, and her sister was crying, her lips turning purple. Despite being bundled up, the temperature had dropped below -9 degrees Fahrenheit with heavy snowfall since evening. Considering the distance they walked, my niece was staggering, and in a panic, Tom and I rushed to bring them inside. The niece, carrying baby supplies, seemed exhausted upon entering the room and collapsed. Her sister, hungry, eagerly drank the milk Tom prepared. I offered my niece a warm drink and covered her with a blanket and an insulator to warm her chilled body. Gradually regaining composure, my niece took a sip of tea and seemed to calm down. What happened? Where are your dad and mom? I asked my niece, who began to tearfully explain bit by bit. From their house to ours was a distance that takes 2 hours on foot for a child. She walked that distance with her sister, because the eldest son's family had left them behind to go drinking at a friend's bar and hadn't returned. With no dinner prepared and baby supplies running low, they didn't know when the two would return, which terrified them. Remembering the note I gave her during the day, she used the address to find our house. I need to buy some food and diapers for my sister. We don't have a place to stay, so just $60. Please lend me $60. I'll pay you back when I'm older. The moment Tom saw this, he raised his voice in anger. What? No way! Until then, Tom had been silently listening, but his sudden outburst scared my niece. She instinctively curled up, protecting her head, and began to tremble. I'm sorry. I won't be selfish anymore. I'll figure it out on my own, just please, don't be mad. Seeing my niece begging through her tears, I hugged her as tears spilled from my own eyes. It's okay. There's no one here who would treat you like that. You badly. Calm down. We would never hurt you. Sorry, I wasn't angry at you. My bad, so it's okay, relax. Seeing my niece's frightened look confirmed my suspicions. The rumors about the eldest son's couple that our relatives talked about were true. It wasn't just gossip. My nieces were living a life of oppression under them. The moment I realized this fact, an indescribable rage boiled within me. I can't forgive them anymore, Tom said, his body shaking with anger. His outburst wasn't directed at my niece, but at the eldest son's couple for putting her through this. Once Tom got to this point, no one could stop him. He pulled out his phone, made a call, and urged us into the car. Nora, let's go. Go where? We can't leave the kids with them anymore. With that, Tom led us to a certain place. Understanding where we were headed, I quickly made arrangements in the car. My niece looked anxious about what was going to happen. To her, I turned with a gentle smile. No matter what happens, can you trust me? You won't feel confused staying with us, will you? At first, my niece didn't understand what I meant. But as we arrived at our destination and I gently squeezed her hand, she seemed to grasp some of its meanings, squeezing back and nodding vigorously. As long as Nora and her family are with us, everything will be all right. Tom and I looked at each other, nodding with determination. We had discussed this before coming back. If the rumors were true, we would protect my niece. We hadn't expected to act on our decision so soon, but our resolve remained unchanged. To protect my niece, we brought someone with us and headed to the bar where the eldest son's couple was causing a disturbance. Come on, drink up. Bring on the booze. As we approached the bar, we could hear their loud voices from outside. It was unbelievable that adults would leave their children and party until late at this place. Just hearing their voices made my irritation grow, but then Tom gently placed his hand on my head. Let's put an end to this. Nodding in agreement, Tom and I entered the bar. An oblivious waiter escorted us to a table. The eldest son's couple, caught up in their conversation, didn't notice us. Taking advantage of that, I pulled out my phone and aimed the camera at them. Are you sure you're okay? You have a newborn at home, don't you? It's fine, it's fine. We have an 8-year-old daughter. Just leave it to her, she'll manage. We've taught them from a young age not to rebel. At first, they had the audacity to stand in our way, saying things like, don't go anywhere or I don't want you to leave. But we made sure to teach them a lesson each time. Just a bit of yelling and they'd immediately cower. It seems they're sensitive to noise, so after throwing things close to the wall, they started to listen quietly. Thanks to that, they don't complain about babysitting anymore. It's really convenient. they spend their days walking on eggshells around us. Isn't it funny? There's disciplining without physical punishment, but that's just pampered adults talking, right? I truly believe in proper training. Laughing vulgarly, the eldest son's couple unwittingly provided evidence supporting the rumors. Tom and I exchanged looks and signaled to each other, and then a man entered the bar. Welcome, wait, the police? There stood a police officer, causing the waiter to voice his shock and confusion. The rest of the patrons, sensing something was wrong, abruptly changed from a fun atmosphere to one of tension. The air grew tense with unease. Sorry to interrupt suddenly. Actually, we're looking for these children's parents, revealed the nieces, stepping forward. The moment they saw the two girls, the eldest son's couple's faces contorted. You two, why are you here? These girls are our daughters. Did they cause you any trouble? In a panic, possibly realizing it was bad to not show up, the eldest son's couple hastily claimed to be the parents. The officer adjusted his hat deeper, casting a stern look at the couple through the gap in his hat. Leaving your children at home and going out drinking at this hour. And on such a snowy day? The officer's sharp remark rattled the eldest son's couple. Dan tried to brush it off with a forced smile, saying, "No, we were just about to head back. It's just the snow was so bad, we were waiting for it to calm down a bit, right?" "Yes, that's right. It's not like we left them on purpose. We locked the house properly, and we only came here a few minutes ago, you know?" The officer, unimpressed by the eldest son's couple's poor excuses, turned to the bar owner. "Is what she's saying true? If it's no trouble, could you tell us when they came in and how much they've ordered?" If they've been here for just 5 minutes, they would have only had time for a drink or two, at most. Well, the couple began to suspect the police officer's unusual interest in their case. They were flustered, unable to understand how things got to this point. The officer scrutinized them, digging deeper into the abandonment issue. "What's the matter? Is there a reason you can't speak up?" "Well, you've actually been here for hours, haven't you?" "Not just now, like you claim. That's not true. We've said it over and over, we just got here." "Who do you think you are, making such baseless accusations?" "That's what I was waiting for you to say." As Sophia defiantly rejected the officer's words, Tom and I stood up, positioning ourselves protectively in front of the nieces. The eldest son's couple looked utterly confused. "Why are you two here?" we asked. "We've heard everything from the girls. How you left your daughter to go drinking. How you've abandoned these kids. And we have evidence of all the terrible things you've done to the nieces. We know all about your lies." The moment they heard my words, the couple exchanged puzzled glances. "Thanks to you too, we have all the evidence we need from your conversation about how you mistreated these kids. We can't possibly leave our dear nieces with you any longer. We're taking the kids with us. You'll be answering to the police at the station." "Wait just a minute. Don't decide this on your own," the couple pleaded. "That's right. Where's your proof that we left the kids alone?" I asked. "Give it up, you two." The one who spoke was the bar owner, who had been previously questioned by the officer. She lit a cigarette, her gaze cold and disdainful towards the couple. "Take a good look at what she's holding," she said, indicating the voice recorder I was clutching, which she had quickly identified. "Not only have you been recorded, but they've been filming you with their phone this whole time. That officer brought them here. There was a call made here earlier. Glad to help out. Your behavior was too much to ignore. Time to pay the piper. Go to the police and think over what you've done." With gratitude for the bar owner's understanding, the couple still tried to argue, but none of the patrons showed any sign of support. It seemed everyone shared the owner's disappointment. Disgusting behavior. Recording us without permission, that's like wiretapping. That's a crime. Well, Sue, ridiculous. Despite their attempts to turn the situation around, Tom raised his voice in anger. For a usually calm man to shout like that, the couple gulped in fear. Dragging your kids into your selfishness, then disciplining them. Thinking it's okay to hit them if they don't listen? It's you, the worthless parents, who should be learning a lesson, not them. What have these kids ever done to you? Waiting for you, feeling lonely, yet you trample all over their feelings with such ease. Shame on you. Faced with Tom's irrefutable logic, the eldest son's couple grimaced in frustration, speechless and shifting their gazes awkwardly. Do you know what she said when she came to our house? I deliberately met their eyes, diving into their faces as they looked away as if saying, They didn't care. With a sorrowful expression, I laid out my words. She wondered if her mom and dad left because she was a bad child, blaming herself until the very end. At that moment, Sophia turned towards me in shock. She never blamed you guys once. She kept asking us, if I'm good, will they come back? Over and over. No matter how terrible the parents, to a child they are still precious and beloved. The pain of having to make my dear niece choose to part ways with the two people she loves will never be forgotten. That's why we're determined to make them happy. No matter what, Tom and I will protect them. With that strong conviction, we came here. I'm sorry, we won't do this again. We'll take proper care of them. Please, it's too late now. It seemed they finally realized the gravity of the situation. As Sophia begged in a fluster, I coldly let the words out. There's no way we could ever entrust them to you again. She made this choice herself. If you're really sorry and reflecting, then please don't ever have children again. You two don't deserve to be parents. Watching this, my niece, holding her sister protectively, uttered just one phrase. Wait, don't go. Please come back. I hate you, Mom and Dad. Don't ever come near us again. It must have been her first act of defiance. After saying just that, my niece, trying not to show her tears, turned her back on Sophia and Dan, grabbing my sleeve to head to the car. Leaving the rest to the officer, Tom and I left the bar. Sophia, unable to let go of her niece, caused a scene in the bar and was arrested for disrupting business. Dan also made a scene and ended up in police custody along with her. Thus, we successfully protected our precious nieces from them. The officer was Tom's close friend who happily agreed to help after hearing the situation. I can't stand parents like them. I'm relieved we could protect your dear nieces. Despite being busy with Christmas, he willingly helped, and I was grateful. Since then, my nieces and we have lived together as a special adoptive family. With testimonials from the people at the bar, the eldest son's couple was successfully charged with abuse, and the adoption process went smoothly. We explained the situation to the in-laws and the youngest son's couple, reporting the outcome. The in-laws were furious, deciding to disown the eldest son's couple. They wanted to take responsibility and were supportive of the niece's upbringing, with the youngest son's couple often visiting to check on them. Showered with love from everyone, my nieces quickly recovered, and the younger sister grew up healthy and strong. Being your child makes me really happy. My niece wrote in a letter with carnations for Mother's Day. On Mother's Day, the ink was blurred by her tears. As I read it, I tearfully cherished our happiness.